Hello and welcome to part 2 of our conversation with Moustafa Hamwi. Today, Moustafa reveals his 2-part system for finding other people's passions. And we're going to figure out what makes a passioneur. So lay back and relax with the Peak Performers Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
You know, I'm sure so often people come to you and say, hey, help me understand what my passion is. How do you help them find their passion?
So what I've done is I've developed over the years, a lot of research, a system helps me dive deep into understanding what are people's passions, and then contextualizing that to make sense out of that passion. So I do that through a process of questioning techniques first. And then I take these questions and I contextualize them to make sense of them, because I can also say, listen, my passion is motorbikes. So what does that mean? Does that mean you want to be a motorbike engineer? You want to be a motorbike designer? You want to ride motorbikes? You want to sell motorbikes? So it took me years to develop that passion discovery and then passion and lifestyle design elements of it. But there's always 2 questions that I can give anybody that in a moment they can pretty much start finding and executing on their passion. Would you like to try them out?
Yes.
All right. Well, here's the first one. So if you've got a checkbook in front of you or anywhere close, pause this, go grab that checkbook. If you've got a piece of pen and paper, just draw a check on that paper. If not, just close your eyes and visualize a check with your name on it. Okay. See that name being written. And in the date space, write today's date, whatever today is. And in the number space, write $1 billion. That's 1 and 9 zeros. And then write $1 billion. Go ahead and sign that check. Now fold that check and put it in your pocket close to your heart and have that feeling. Every time I say this, I even get a smile on my face. I've got a check for $1 billion in my hand. Now that you've got enough money to achieve anything you want to do in life, start up any venture you want to do, travel the world, you've got enough money to take care of all your loved ones, your friends, your family. The question is, what would you want to do with your life? Because once you have taken the money out of the equation, you're out of the rat race. You no longer have to do anything. You will only do what you truly want to do. And when your brain stops worrying about the money, you will find an answer deep inside you that will guide you towards your passion.
Simple.
I call it the $1 billion question. If you really have $1 billion, what would you do with your life?
Every peak performer that has ever lived or will live does one thing extremely well. They know how to take their ideas and execute on them. Ideas and knowledge are not power, but the ability to execute on them, that is real power. If you consider yourself a peak performer and really want to take your game to the next level and truly master the science of execution, I would like to send you some information about our upcoming event, Business Execution Summit. Simply take your phone and text the word BE Summit, one word, to 41411. And I'll send you some additional information on how to master the most important skill you will ever acquire for your life or your business.
The other side of the equation for me, there's always has to be yin and yang. I believe in the balance of energies, male, female, day and night, sun and moon. So in finding passion, there's one inspiring question, and equally there's a one very, very challenging question, which came out when a guy asked me at an event. He put me on the spot. I was on a panel, and he goes, listen, you've got 1 minute to inspire me to pursue my passion. And I was live on stage, and I'm like, let me think. Well, here you go. And my response was, can you guarantee living another month? And he goes, no. I said, can you guarantee living another week? He says, no. Unless one of your listeners can tell me how they can guarantee that, I'm willing to pay a lot of money for it. Assuming everybody's still saying no, can you guarantee another hour? If the answer is no, my question is, if today was the last day of your life, what would you regret not doing? What is it that you're going to look back and say, I wish I did? Whatever that is, go out and get it done, because that's part of the passion that you want to live. And when you mix that answer to the $1 billion question, plus what would I regret not doing if today was the last day of my life, that you've got a good start on figuring out the direction of where your passion will manifest.
Great advice. I love that. What makes a passionpreneur?
Awesome. To me, what I call a passionpreneur is an entrepreneur of passion and purpose. Because there are lots of entrepreneurs there that are driven by building businesses, that are driven by making net worth, that are driven by creating a lot of wealth for themselves and even for their loved ones, and there's nothing wrong with that. But a passionpreneur is somebody that is doing business in something that they love and that is of impact and value to the world. I mean, almost everything out there is of value to somebody, but some businesses are of a lot more value to the world and a lot more constructive than other businesses. So for me, this is a passionpreneur, somebody who's doing what they love while changing the world.
I find so often that there's entrepreneurs that have relatively successful businesses, not to the level that they want them to be. And after 5, 7, 10 years, it's just kind of worn on them. And you can kind of see it in their face almost. Their passion is no longer there for the business. And they almost want to have an affair on it and then start something else. It's all the love and the passion's gone. What do you tell an entrepreneur that just doesn't have that passion for the business that they have, but that's really their main business?
Well, sometimes you have to do what you got to do to pay the bills. You know, I mean, if you've got a family, you've got responsibilities, you've already made commitments, and you've entered a business that you cannot just exit, you have to find it in you to keep going, because that's the consistency part of it. And there's a big valuable lesson in consistency. That consistency is not always going to come in something that you love doing. A lot of times, consistency is about commitment. Because when you get into a business, you hope it'll go okay within a year or two, and you would know as much as I know, it never goes according to plan.
Correct.
It's almost as if the plan that things shall never go according to plan.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then one has got to learn a bit of tenacity and a bit of grit in staying at it till you make it work. Because when you're pushing and the universe is pushing back, you got to keep pushing, and at a certain point of time, the universe is going to go, damn man, this guy is stubborn. This guy's determined, and you better give it to him, because things in the world and in the universe are going to manifest, whether through you or through somebody else. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I'm saying if you're determined enough, if you've got enough grit, enough determination, enough passion for what you're doing, you will keep going at it. Now, sometimes the current situation is not it. It's just a building block and a stepping stone and a bridge to get you to where you want to. So I say being passionate is about being resourceful and using everything you've got around and using what you have to get what you want. I remember my brother told me he met a guy a few years ago back home in Syria before the war started. And he met him at a computer course. And he asked him, so what are you doing here? The guy was just learning how to use a computer. He goes, why are you here? He goes, well, I want to become a DJ. He goes, if you want to become a DJ, why are you even taking this course? He goes, well, because now all the DJ equipment are computer-based and I don't even know how to use a computer. So I know the guy is not enjoying learning how to use a computer, but he knows it's a necessity for him to become a good DJ. So he's doing what he has to do. And when you keep your eye on the ball, you keep your eye on the bigger picture. If I'm an entrepreneur stuck in a business, I got to ask myself a question. How is this business serving my bigger picture? How is this business getting me closer to my goal? And if this business is getting me closer to my goal, then I'm going to have to love it, because you know what? It's either giving me the stability, it's either giving me the learnings, it's teaching me how to run a business. And if I can get good at a business that I don't like, imagine how good I'm going to be at a business that I really like.
Yeah. And what I find also is some of the things that you don't like doing, as you do them more and you get better at them, it's like, okay, you know what? I actually do enjoy this. I think the better we get at it, the more we start to enjoy it.
100%. And again, it's the definition of passion. The second element is doing what you love and you are good at.
Yeah.
So the more you get good at it, the more you will love it.
Yeah. And you might not be good at it in the beginning. You may not enjoy it. But as you get better, things start to change. I love that definition.
Life doesn't get better. You get better.
Yeah, I love that. What's some of the biggest hurdles that you needed to overcome to get to where you are now?
Oh my God. Where do I begin? And does it ever end? Oh
no,
my God. Okay,
but this is such an important piece, because what I find is time and time again, and it never ceases to amaze me. People come up to me all the time and they're like, oh my God, this was easy for you because, you've done X, Y, and Z. And I was like, do you have any idea what it took to get to, just to get in the game to then play? It's years and stuff that you don't see behind the scenes. So tell people, because I think so often, they go through a couple months and then they're like, well, I'm not getting traction yet. Or, I'm not getting the clients that I want, or whatever it is. It's like we all go through that. You just have to stay the course. So tell them some of the things that they would not have seen.
Let me just make a small comment. I mean, you're very optimistic when you say you don't get traction in a couple of months. I think we need to start talking in years, okay?
That was exactly my podcast 20 minutes ago. I swear. That was literally, I said it takes 2 years. It takes 2 years.
They say every overnight success has got 10 years before it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really it's where do I begin? So I'd probably have to rewind a little bit to before my my India journey, because I had to go through a nervous breakdown that woke me up to realize that I need to get my act together. And I had to basically stop smoking, stop drinking, started yoga, started meditation. I had to get through a 10-day silent retreat that made me realize that, there's a lot more mess inside me that needs fixing. Then I left everything behind me and bought a one-way ticket to India in 2012. And in India, I met the Swami, who helped me dig deeper into myself. So when I met my Swami, who just been in caves for 13 years and came out a few years before I met him, on one of the interactions, he asked me a question. He used to play with his beard, and I'm asking him all these questions about life. So he'd go, do you know what you are thirsty for? Because if you do not know what you are thirsty for, you cannot quench your thirst. When he asked me that question, that was kind of my $1 billion question. It's like, what are you thirsty for? And I didn't know. So as I was going on with my journey, by coincidence, I was passing by a hospital. I walked in to get myself checked up, and I realized I had a medical condition that was labeled medically non-curable. I healed from that medical condition in about a month or so by natural means. But that was a big ordeal for me, because at that moment, my life collapsed in front of me. I started questioning everything that I've ever done. I started doubting myself. I started doubting everything I've ever done in my life. So in a way, I had to go through a lot of self-cleansing and self-doubt before I would re-emerge ready to live fully with passion. Now, all of this is the fun part of the story, but the reality is that period for me sounds like 30 days. Oh my God, it's easy. I mean, I was feeling every minute of that time, and I was, on the inside, I didn't know if I would make it, I wouldn't make it. It wasn't a serious condition, but mentally it becomes serious because the mind blows it out of proportion. So there was a lot of self-doubt, and what am I doing? And am I ever going to get back? And, maybe I'd stay on my one-way ticket. I never want to get back to civilization. I want to stay in India. So there's a lot of self-doubt in that period. And this period is kind of that was hardening me and making me stronger. Now, I came back to Dubai and I started doing my inspirational talks. And my first initiative was, you know what? Now I know what I want to do. I want to change people's lives. I'm going to get on stage. And a guy walks up to me after my first talk a few months later, and he goes, hey, you're that speaker guy. I said, yeah. He goes, I've seen you speak about your journey to India. I said, yeah. He goes, you changed my life. And a light bulb went on. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I want to change people's lives. I quit my consulting job, which I had just came back from India. I'm out of funds and I'm starting a new life and I really need the money. But on a leap of faith, I took that jump and I'm like, okay, now the universe has sent me a sign. I am meant to help people. The law of attraction, the secret, all of these things are going to start working for me. And behold, January 2014, Not a single person is showing up to my workshop. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Listen, I used to come from a nightlife promotion and entertainment business, so I know the game. You got to just give a lot for free, get people used to it, and then you start charging. February, nobody's showing up to the workshop. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll start running the workshops for free. March, nobody's showing up to the workshops. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Start changing it, dropping the price, doing it free, giving free tickets. People are still not showing up. And I suddenly realized it's almost as if I jumped out of a plane without a parachute. And I'm about to crash to the ground. Because now I came back, I'm feeling twice as depressed because I no longer can go back to the lifestyle that I was living before. I no longer can do the same things that I was doing before because I felt a lot more awakened about my life. And equally, I'm not succeeding at doing what I want to do, which is change people's lives. And I'm like, this sounds like a trap. It's like almost God sent me that person to tell me to go there. And then suddenly I fell in a trap and nothing is working. Finances are not working. The business is not working. And I'm like, okay, let me try something else. I started promoting retreats where I take people on a journey to India. And I'd say, you guys come, don't pay me any money. I'll just take you on a retreat. You get 100 hands going up, 50 people register, 20 people come and give you a confirmation. Not a single person shows up to the retreat. And then do another one and another one and another one. And I'm talking about this cycle of failure is consistent probably almost up till now. Because here's the magic. I always ask people, you want to be top what percentage in the world? So do you want to be top 10% in your industry? Do you want to be top 1%? You want to be top 50%? So when somebody tells me I want to be top 10% in my industry, my answer is you have to be willing to fail 90% of the time. You don't know if the success is going to hit you at the first 10% or at the last 10%. And the probability is it's probably going to come at the end of the journey, not the beginning of it. So, and today I was just thinking, I'm like, man, why does it keep getting tougher by the day? And I'm like, hold on, I've decided that I'm going to be top 1% in the world when it comes to the word passion and the topic of passion. Well, you know what? I still haven't failed 99% of the time. So I think I've still got a little bit more to go of failures before I get to where I want to get to.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.
That brings us to the end of another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. Be on the lookout for Part 3 with Moustafa Hamwi, where he'll tell us all about his secret sauce for realizing goals and generating energy. I bet that's some recipe. Plus, Moustafa tells us the right and the wrong ways to set goals for ourselves. I know you won't want to miss the next Peak Performers Podcast. We'll see you at the top.